just got the notification. Get some damn equipment around here that works. Okay, it hooked up finally. All right, yeah. I don't know. It was working before because both the guys were using it a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is. All right, so hopefully everybody can hear me now. I like playing with this thing. It's folding. All right, welcome everybody to the T350 show. I'm back from Milwaukee, and we went up to the Range Retail Expo in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I got to spend a half a day before the beginning of the show doing some of the Harley stuff in Milwaukee. Kind of cool. I went to the Harley Museum, the outlet store, the big gift shop, it's the size of a department store, a Harley gift shop. It's pretty cool. And then I went to the motor bar and restaurant and had lunch at the Harley Cafe, whatever you bar restaurant. I saw a $13 million motorcycle. Pretty cool. Harley number one. They had it in the museum behind the glass. I think I have a picture on here somewhere. I can pull it up, and kind of cool to see. Let's see here. I gotta find it. There it is. So yeah, there's Harley number one, serial number one. Yeah, big glorified bicycle, single cylinder, leather belt drive. But yeah, estimated value about $13 million. So very cool if you ever get a chance to get up to Milwaukee and you're into Harleys, to go to the Harley Museum. I got to see a ton of bikes that I never would have guessed I'd ever get to see. Prototypes and stuff that never went into production. Harley's 6-cylinder engine that never went into production. They had a 4-cylinder engine. They had just all kinds of cool stuff that never went into production. and stuff that did go into production that was very rare. Um, just a really cool, very cool experience. So if you get a chance to get up to Milwaukee to do that, then it's worth the trip. So we're going to take a little break from talking about ARs, and we're going to talk about law. A little bit about law real quick. Some interesting stuff's been happening in the last couple of weeks in the AR world on the front of laws and what is a law and what isn't a law. So we thought we'd take a quick look at that and let you all know where we stand on a couple of things. You notice I have a braced pistol here in front of me. And you might be thinking, how can he have that? It's illegal. No, it's not. Not for me. Because I'm a member of certain organizations that now have injunctions against the law. So I'm allowed to have it. I can't be arrested for it. So I'll explain more as we go along. So let's start with the older law first, which is the frame receiver rule from last January. Came out right before SHOT Show last year. So on June 30th of 2023, a federal I'm going to read this, so I don't want to mess it up and say stuff wrong. But so bear with me. It might be a little bit boring, but I want to make sure that I get this right. The federal district judge in Texas ruled on June 30th, 2023 that the ATF's administrative rule, which substantially expanded the congressional phrase frame or receiver, was unconstitutional and vacated the rule. The district court introduced the issue and summarized its conclusion in this introductory statement. This case presents the question of whether the federal government may lawfully regulate partially manufactured firearms components, related firearm products, and other tools and materials in keeping with the Gun Control Act of 1968. Because the court concludes that the government cannot regulate these items without violating federal law, the court holds that the government's recently enacted final rule definition of frame or receiver and identification of firearms, 87 Fed Reg blah 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 blah, is unlawful agency action taken in excess of the ATF's statutory jurisdiction. On this basis, the court vacates the final rule. So what does that mean? Vacates the final rule. It's gone. It's done like it never existed. They cannot enforce it. They cannot. It's gone. The court vacated it nationwide. So it's not an injunction. It is a vacation. It's a vacation, right? 80% lower kits are now legal again. 80% pistol kits are now lower again, or 80% pistol kits are now legal again. So, kind of a far-reaching thing, right? So, I'm going to read a little more. In addressing the matter, the court discusses how the ATF exceeded its constitutional authority by promulgating rules, regulations, and/or interpretations of the law that were clearly unsupported by the plain and common understanding of the words that Congress used in the statute itself. Ultimately, the court vacated a ruling having nationwide impact, the ATF's 2022 Frame and Receiver Regulation. The regulation not only generally classified 80% lowers and kits as firearm, but it also addressed the issue of whether the ATF's insistence that parts and parts kits are firearms as well. Because the final rule purports to regulate both firearm components that are not yet a frame or receiver and aggregations of weapons parts not otherwise subject to its statutory authority, the court holds that the ATF has acted in excess of its statutory jurisdiction by promulgating it. So again, right, they're just saying you can't regulate parts, you can't regulate anything other than the serialized portion of the gun. And when it's not a finished part, it's not a gun, so you can't regulate it. So what the ATF did try to do a little backhanded stuff in court, obviously. Interestingly, the ATF tried to convince the court that it should only grant relief if it did so to the specific parties in the case. The court fortunately rejected that silly argument by the ATF, as it had others. The court stated the defendants argued that the vacatur should only be applied to the parties before the court while citing no binding authority in support. But such a remedy is more akin to an injunction that would prohibit the agencies from enforcing their unlawful final rule only against certain individuals. And indeed, there are meaningful differences between an injunction, which is a drastic and extraordinary remedy, and vacatur, which is a less drastic remedy, and it cites a bunch of case law. Vacatur does nothing but reestablish the status quo absent the unlawful agency action. So that means everything goes back to the way it was before the ATF released the rule that they tried to say was law. Apart from the statutory basis on which the court invalidated an agency action, vacatur neither compels nor restrains further agency decision-making. Thus, the court applies the default remedy and vacates the final rule on grounds that the agency acted beyond their scope of its legitimate authority and its promulgation of it. So, everyone is covered nationwide. It's not a injunction. So, the frame and receiver rule is gone. Okay. Well, it's gone for now. The Department of Justice and the Biden administration are going to appeal. I expect it to end up in the Supreme Court, and if the Supreme Court holds to what they did in the Chevron deference rule, they will uphold the lower court's ruling that the ATF cannot make law. The ATF can only enforce law. They can make recommendations to Congress, and Congress can write law. So let's hope that the Supreme Court holds true to what they've been doing lately and continues to do. Okay, so pistol. Next is the pistol brace. And like I said, you notice I have a pistol brace on my pistol. So how can I do that? Well, okay, I'm going to tell you how I do that. This is from May 23rd of 2023. The Firearms Policy Coalition released a statement on the Fifth Circuit's court granting an injunction pending appeal in Mock versus Garland. Firearms Policy Coalition and Firearms Policy Coalition Action Foundation's federal lawsuit challenging the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms recent rule reclassifying pistol braces as National Firearms Act regulated short-barreled rifle. This injunction, along with other case documents, can be viewed at fpclaw.org. The FPC challenged the ATF's administrative rule that seeks to reclassify brace pistols as short-barreled firearms. In doing so, the rule would transform millions of peaceable people into felons simply overnight simply for owning a firearm that has been lawful to own for over a decade, unless they either destroy their constitutionally protected property or comply with the NFA's onerous and unconstitutional requirement. The FPC, Firearms Policy Coalition, argued that the rule is in violation of both the U.S. Constitution and the Administrative Procedure Act because it infringes upon the fundamental and natural rights of the people. Plaintiffs sought declaratory and injunctive relief to secure their constitutionally protected right to keep and bear arms. Per the Fifth Circuit Court's order, it is ordered that the appeal is expedited to the next available oral argument. It is further ordered that the appellant's opposed motion for a preliminary injunction appeal is granted as to the plaintiffs in this case. So they granted the injunction that said Firearms Policy Coalition members that the plaintiffs in the case, okay, could have their pistol braces. Now, the question was, were the plaintiffs in the case the people that were in court, or was it the Firearms Policy Coalition members at all, okay, as a whole? So on May 20th, the Firearms Policy Coalition went back to the court and said, please clarify who is covered in the injunction. So on May 26th, the Firearms Policy Coalition released a statement on the Fifth Circuit Court's order clarifying that the injunction pending appeal in Mock versus Garland applies to all Firearms Policy Coalition members, Maximum Defense customers, and the individual plaintiffs and their resident family members. In order, along with other case documents, can be viewed at Firearms the FPC. Right. So it repeats that again. So what they said was that if you are a Firearms Policy Coalition member, you can have your pistol brace. That's how I have my pistol brace. Okay. So June 1st, just about a week later, another lawsuit was already pending from the Gun Owners of America in Texas. June 1st, 2023, last night, Gun Owners of America successfully secured a preliminary injunction from a federal judge against Biden's pistol ban that applied to all members of Gun Owners of America. So, the Gun Owners of America got the same injunction. Guess what? I'm a member of the Gun Owners of America as well. So, I'm double covered. Now, this basically goes along to state the kind of same thing that I just read. The Second Amendment Foundation also secured the same injunction. So if you're a member of the Second Amendment Foundation, you're also covered. Now, just last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I saw after all these were won, almost immediately after these were won, guess who stepped up to the plate? The NRA. Where you been? Right? Where you been? You're supposed to be the big gorilla in the room. You guys are, we're 5, 6, 7 million members in the NRA, and you sat back and you let the Firearms Policy Coalition and the Gun Owners of America take the fight. And then once they won, now here you're going to come in and say, oh yeah, us too. Where you been? You know, I pay you money every year. Millions of us do. Step up, NRA. Step up. So they will probably get the same injunction. I'm going to beat them up a little bit because they haven't really been on the ball the last half a dozen, 8 years. They've been too busy worried about their internal strifes, and I won't get going too badly, but step up, NRA. Step up. So they'll probably get the same injunction. The precedent's already been set. So if you're a member of the NRA, you'll probably be covered as well. Now, all that being said, again, the Biden administration and the Department of Justice, I'm sure, are preparing appeals right now as we speak. It'll end up in the Supreme Court, just like the frame receiver rule, and I hope and expect that the Supreme Court will do the same thing here, that the ATF overstepped its bounds and does not have the authority to produce law. They can recommend to Congress. This is the way the Constitution is written. Regulatory agencies can be established to recommend policy to Congress and Senate, and then Congress and Senate can pass laws based off of those recommendations. That's all they can do is recommend. They can't say, okay, here's the rule, this is law now. They overstep their bounds. So we'll see. Let's hope the Supreme Court, they've been taking up more and more 2A cases lately, which is good to see. And they've been, with the conservative majority on the Supreme Court, they've been holding a little truer to the Constitution. Let's hope that continues. So, another one that the ATF can stick where the sun don't shine. So, yeah, that's where we're at. All right. So if you're a member of the frame and receiver rule, vacated, in the trash, right? Pending appeal, obviously. So right now, you can go and buy 80% kits again. All that stuff is back on. What'd the guy say in what's that movie? Lord of the Rings. Meat's back on the menu, boys. So 80%ers are back on the menus, boys. So, and then that's nationwide. That's everybody. We're all covered because the rule was vacated. Now, the Pistol brace is a little bit more gray area. You have to be members of certain organizations to be covered, and that is the Firearms Policy Coalition, the Gun Owners of America, the Second Amendment Foundation, and probably soon the NRA. And again, I think the NRA needs to step up their game a little bit. They're getting shown up, and they're supposed to be the big gorilla in the room. So, but if you're a member of those three organizations right now, you can have your pistol brace. And you cannot be arrested for it. So, and you just have to prove that you're a member, right? And you get membership cards. We all have membership cards and so on and so forth. It's kind of cool. I went to the Range Retail Expo up there in Milwaukee, and I was standing there, and this guy came up, and he was an older guy, white beard, cowboy hat, and he looked vaguely familiar. I was like, man, I've seen this guy before. I just don't know where. And started talking to him, and he was the national spokesman for the Gun Owners of America. And I was still thinking, man, I've seen this guy somewhere before. Well, if y'all remember back about, what was it, 5, 6 years ago in Sutherland, Texas, the wackadoodle that he was thrown out of the Army. He had a dishonorable discharge from the Army, and he had some mental issues, so they booted him out of the Army. So with a dishonorable discharge, you're not allowed to own a gun. Okay? Somehow he slipped through the cracks, and he was able to purchase an AR rifle, and he went into the church in Sutherland, Texas, and killed 26 people. Just went through the church, kind of mowing them down. You know, people hiding under the pews, and he killed 26 people. Well, this guy across the street, this old guy ran out barefooted with his AR and engaged the guy out as he came out of the church. He engaged him in fire. He hit him 2 or 3 times. Then, as the guy was getting in his truck, he took another shot through the window and put another bullet in him. The guy, now he's wounded 4 or 5 times. He drove off. He flagged down another guy. This old guy in his bare feet flagged down another guy and said, hey, we got to follow that truck. And he put another round through the back window of the truck, hit the guy again, and then the guy crashed his truck and ultimately committed suicide. But he was pretty much on his way out anyway. Well, the old barefooted guy was standing right in front of me in Texas, or in Milwaukee, and that's where I recognized him from the news and the different news articles. It was, and he is now the national spokesman for the Gun Owners of America. So, you know, it's horrendous that you have to do something like that, but you know, thank God he was there to, you know, put a stop to the guy doing any more than he had already done. You know, horrendous that he did what he did, and you know, mourning the 26 lives lost. But thank God that man was there to put a stop to the guy, you know, going and driving, getting in his truck and taking off and heading and going to another church and doing the same thing. You know, you don't know what his plans were, but that guy was there to stop him. So it was kind of cool, you know. Got to see him, and if I can throw a quick plug out there, Gun Owners of America, Firearms Policy Coalition, Second Amendment Foundation, join them. Okay, these guys are fighting, right? They had a little sticker, right? The Firearms Policy Coalition. They got a print. They have a special printer that they use to write their lawsuits, and they make a joke about making the printer go brrr, the sound it makes when it's printing lawsuits. So they have a sticker that says, you know, make the firearms, or make the printer go brrr. So they just keep writing lawsuit after lawsuit. And hey, right? So these guys are stepping up to the plate. Join the Firearms Policy Coalition, join the Gun Owners of America, join the Second Amendment Foundation. And if you have a local organization in your state, here in Ohio, we have the Ohio Gun Owners Association. These are the guys that are taking the fight to the state capitol. And right now we have a We have a bill here in Ohio. Or a bill. I don't know what they call it. It's a. We're going to vote on it in August, and it's issue 1, and they want to change the Constitution, or they want to change the law in Ohio that they can change the Constitution with a 50+1 vote. Okay, this issue 1 wants to make it a 60+1 vote. Okay, so that you need bipartisan support, or at least a supermajority in the House to pass a law that changes the Constitution. It should be a big deal to change the Constitution, right? To change the Constitution of the United States, you need 2/3 of Congress, 2/3 of Senate, you need 2/3 of the governors. It's a big deal to change the Constitution. You need strong bipartisan support to make that happen. And it should be the same at a state level. You shouldn't be able to just have a 50+1. So that means whichever party, and I'm not picking out Democrats or Republicans. I'm picking out whichever party is in charge can ram legislation down people's throats. And they can change the Constitution to do it. It's not right. You should need bipartisan support to make that happen. It should be difficult to change the Constitution, and there should be a mandate to do it. And that mandate is bipartisan support among both parties and the people. It shouldn't be just a simple, hey, we want to change the Constitution. We got 51 votes on our side. We're going to do it. Right? You shouldn't have let that happen. So vote yes on issue 1 to make sure that it stays in Ohio. If you're in Ohio, vote yes on issue 1 to make sure it stays or is a 60+1 vote to change the Constitution. Okay? It's confusing, right? Right? I'm seeing signs around here that says, one person, one vote, vote no on issue 1. You still have a vote. You still have a person, you still have a vote. The legislators are still one person, and they still have a vote. Okay? That's bullcrap that they're trying to tell you that one person isn't getting one vote. Right? They're lying. Okay? You still have one vote. That's my political rant for the week, month, whatever. All right. So, I guess that's the end, right? I got my pistol brace back. I'm going to put my 9mm back together because I really like that one. I took all my pistols apart when the rule came down and put long barrels on them and tucked my short barrel uppers away and took the braces off. And so now I can put it back together because I'm legally allowed to have them for now. I'm covered by the injunctions. So join those organizations. Get yourself in that bandwagon. You can have your pistols back. All right. So next week, we're going to take a look at, we're going to get back to building ARs, and we're going to take a look at the 5 things you should know before you start to build your AR. What are those 5 things that you should do, kind of your checklist of things you should go through to make sure that you're ready to build your first AR. So I hope you all join me for that next week, and I'm going to get out of here. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to go hop on my motorcycle, go home, have a little dinner, and then go to Tuesday church. So I'll see you guys next week, and thanks for being here. Remember, you don't have to be an expert to build your own AR, to upgrade it or maintain it. We're here to help you do that. Thanks.